Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us on this live stream this afternoon. My name is Phil Grierson. I am the Employability Officer within Business and Law, and I'm just going to give you a bit of an outline about what support you can expect from the careers team. So obviously, if you've got a place and you're a current student, what you can look forward to. If you're a prospective student, obviously you want to know what will be available for you if you joined the university and beyond as well. So as I mentioned, I am an employability officer within Business and Law. What that means is that I'm one of the employability officers across the university. So each faculty has an employability officer and a career development manager, and we have an additional central team behind us that support that. So things like employer liaison, mentoring, and similar as well. Each faculty also has a placement team that I will go on to speak about in a moment. So my role and my equivalence is primarily based around supporting yourselves. So obviously we offer a range of support, including things such as one-to-one appointments. These can cover anything really that you feel that you need support with. This might be you're not sure where to start even. I'm not sure where to start in terms of a job search, not sure where to start in terms of researching a particular organisation, interviews, CVs, and things like that as well. But beyond that, we do offer some more direct support in terms of things like reviewing your applications, dealing with specific inquiries relating to interviews at certain companies. So you might have been successful at interview stage, and you might want to know what happens next, or could you move your start date, if there's psychometric tests, help and advice relating to that as well. So there's a huge range of support within those one-to-one appointments, and those will be relevant to placements or general careers inquiries, and you'll get that support regardless. Also, we have a range of larger sessions, so some of these will cover similar topics in a group setting. So you might have something where discussion might help a lot more in terms of developing a certain skill. So we might be talking about resilience. We might be talking about effective networking and mentoring, where a group setting help a lot more. But also we have sessions that are really centered on those sort of basic building blocks. So things like how to write your CV for a placement search, how to write your first application, and things like that, to give you that starting point before you get in to that one-to-one support. So on top of this, we actually are supported by a large range of online resources. So these include videos, they include online tutorials. We've got subscriptions to various services, including one centered on video interviews. So we have things where you can get questions from a range of organizations through our platform, and they'll give you mock questions specific to companies, specific to industries, and that's further supported by content we create as well. So there's a huge range there, and we're updating it all the time, as are our partners. So that's available to you anytime. So you can be at home and doing this, which is obviously important at the moment. But beyond that, you're using that to supplement the other support that we have on offer as well. So beyond that, so a lot of the things that I've spoken about there will usually occur outside of your immediate course. So these are sessions that we'll advertise to you. We have an online booking system, and that will also advertise those events, those one-to-one appointments, and so on and so forth. But for a number of you across the board, so particularly those postgraduates that are looking at courses within the computing engineering and media faculty, and arts design, humanities, you do actually have the option across most courses to do a one-year placement. So that's a structured year-long opportunity that we will support you to find, including a lot of that those sessions that I spoke about earlier. So how to write those applications, how to approach organizations, and similar. But beyond that, you can separate out that 1 year placement. So some people do 2 6-month placements, for example. In business and law, there are executive company projects. These are shorter term opportunities across some courses that will allow you to work with small and medium-sized organisations in the main on a range of areas. So sometimes you perhaps will be continuing the work of a previous student. Sometimes you might be undertaking some sort of consultancy work, or doing some research for them as well. So that usually takes the place of your final project and can sometimes help to inform that as well. So some really good opportunities there in your course as well as outside of it. So I've touched a bit on employer involvement there. The university is constantly building up its network of employers. As I mentioned, we're part of a central team, and that central team shares contacts. So for instance, if I reach out to an organisation, I've recently been speaking to HSBC as one example. I will share that contact with other relevant people within the university, so that events that we run are then promoted to as wide range of students as is relevant, and also to ensure that, I don't know, not 3 of us are all contacting the same person about the same thing. So we get a broad range of contacts, and as I say, share those across the board. So with employers, we in more normal times, I would say, do things such as insight visits, but also beyond that, we'll do things like advertise opportunities, particularly with local employers. But we will also run some sessions in conjunction with employers as well. These may be just employer presentations where they tell you a bit about the organisation and the opportunities available, what they're looking for, but they also can be more in-depth activities as well, dependent on the level of involvement and our relationship with that employer as well. But our reach doesn't just extend to local employers, it extends to large multinational organisations as well. I think some of you may be sitting there and going, okay, you've spoken a lot about employers. I kind of want to go self-employed or freelance. That's okay as well. We do have a dedicated enterprise team, and this enterprise team is there to support exactly that. So they will run sessions in terms of building up your business, looking at potential ways of generating income, looking at one-to-one sessions about actually is that business viable in the first place, but also looking at potential mentors and similar as well. So it's all geared towards making that reality. We have had some high-profile successes at DMU as well. Also, it's definitely worth considering that as an option. And a lot of people think, okay, well, I don't do business, this isn't really for me. But actually, we do get a lot of arts, design, humanities students in particular look at developing products and similar as well. And other students in, say, for instance, the chem faculty looking at perhaps freelance work and similar. So I'd really consider that as an option, and also you can build up skills through that process, even if you don't end up striking out as an entrepreneur. So finally, I'd just like to say a few words about things that you can do now, perhaps before you start at the university, hopefully DMU. You can look to do some external learning as well. There's a huge range of opportunities to build up your skill set using sites like sort of Code Academy, Google Garage. You've got Udemy, and if you're subscribed to LinkedIn Learning and similar as well. A lot of these can help show both universities and employers that you're serious about learning and developing your skills, and obviously have some tangible benefits in terms of yourself as well. So say, for instance, you wanted to expand your design skills as like a marketing student. Perhaps you don't do as much of that as you'd like going forward. So you could do that to supplement, and also it helps to show employers that you're serious about the subject going forward. So just finally as well, I'd just like to highlight that all of the things that I've spoken about, including the online resources, are available to graduates as well as part of our DMU for Life offer. So I have students, particularly those that have just graduated, but also even years after graduation, you can reach out to the careers team and we will support you. So some people do this because perhaps they want a career change. Sometimes they just want another set of eyes on their CV. They haven't updated things in a while. Perhaps sometimes they just want someone to talk over where they're at the moment and what they can do moving forward. So all of that support is there both whilst you're at university and beyond as well. So I think we'll just move into any questions that anyone has across the board. So yeah, in terms of international students, which I'm sure many of you are you will be looking to secure graduate roles in the UK in some cases. In terms of graduate roles in the UK, yeah, we do have a number of international students that secure graduate roles, and the university does subscribe to a couple of services that are particularly of use in terms of searching for international opportunities. So we subscribe to Going Global, which is focused on global opportunities. So whether you're an international student or a UK student looking to work abroad, that would show those opportunities, and has a number of online sessions and other resources as well. But importantly, for those of you that are international students looking in the UK, of course, you'll be looking for some form of visa sponsorship, and we subscribe and have a partnership with an organisation called Student Circus, and they focus on that movement from international students into UK graduate work. So we ran a session over the summer delivered by them, but also you have full access to their website and their opportunities that only highlight those which offer the sponsorship that you need to stay within the UK as well. So yeah, good question in terms of which employers do we work with. So as highlighted, we do work with a range of employers that are particular to each faculty. So for example, in health and life sciences, we've worked with Boots. We have had relationships in computing engineering and media with Emerson and Airbus previously. Arts, Science, Humanities has worked with organisations such as Next and offered placements at ASOS. Also, another high profile brands, and in business and law, as I say, I'm currently speaking with HSBC, but also we have worked with some smaller organisations as well that have come to various talks and events like XBO Logistics. Had talks from Mattioli Woods, and also we've had external speakers sort of focused on consultancy and similar as well. So the important thing here really is rather than thinking about all of the big names, is that range of employers, and obviously we support people regardless of who they're looking to work for. So yeah, many of you will be thinking about whether a master's is good for employability. So there's a couple of things with master's qualifications. Obviously, it gives you another year of study. In the present climate, you might find that if the COVID pandemic is mercifully short, then that year gives an opportunity for the jobs market to recover a bit more. So that's an added facet at the moment. But in general, in terms of master's study, I would say a couple of things. First of all, it can allow you to specialize a bit more, particularly if you did something like, say, for instance, a sort of media or communications related degree, and you want to focus more on marketing, or if you wanted to focus a bit more on PR or something like that. So really hone in. We've had sort of accountancy students look more at things like forensic accounting, but beyond that as well, it can allow for a bit more of a career change. So if you were looking for if you'd done perhaps a history undergraduate degree, for example, and then wanted to move in one of the directions I've mentioned just there, as I say, you wanted to make quite a big change in terms of looking more at marketing or looking at accountancy or similar. So it can allow you to do that. But the biggest thing that I'd say is that if perhaps you didn't take advantage of the opportunities at undergraduate level as much as perhaps you should do, if you knuckle down, and although it's only a year as opposed to 3 years, obviously that's further support where you're in that campus network. You can access the careers service perhaps a little bit more readily because it's a bit more on your radar, and obviously you'll be getting more emails from us as well, and you can take part in obviously student societies and similar as well. So I think on the whole, in answer to is masters good for employability, I would say it's about making the most of the time that you have at university as much as the qualification itself. Yeah, so another good question in terms of the current climate potentially affecting opportunities at the moment? So the obvious answer is yes, and in a lot of cases, unfortunately, it will negatively impact the amount of opportunities. There's a lot of scary reports out there about declines in graduate opportunities, declines in jobs in general, obviously redundancies, and similar. But I think what I would say at the moment, at least, is that a lot of the focus in terms of the impact of COVID, unfortunately, is mainly centered on those that perhaps aren't university educated, and are in a lot of cases will be younger than yourselves. That's unfortunate for them, but there are large numbers of graduate employers that we're working with at the moment that are still recruiting, and beyond that, there are some sectors that are actually booming, or at least a lot less affected, if at all. So some like IT, for instance, if you look at organisations like Zoom, obviously with that coming into, well, everyday language for a start, they've posted massive growth, massive profits. Obviously, organisations like Microsoft have put a massive amount of effort into quickly rolling out and improving on Microsoft Teams. And beyond that, you've got normal kind of IT support and other services that are in even more demand as well. Beyond the obvious, you've also got areas that are perhaps traditionally a bit less popular with graduates, but actually are, as I say, perhaps unaffected or even have increased their profits over this period. So you've got industries such as sort of logistics, which is often overlooked. People still need to move things around. Is the simple kind of analysis of that, and also food retail obviously has come into the spotlight in particular. So yes, it will definitely affect opportunities, but it might just affect the kind of opportunities that are available. And I would say that if you are studying for a degree or hold a degree, you are still in a good place to apply going forward as well, especially if you're doing so with some relevant experience. So yeah, another question about support that we provide in terms of the application process. So if, for argument's sake, you're searching for a placement opportunity, we do have dedicated placement teams, and they support that process from start to finish. So everything from crafting that initial CV or application, through to interview support, or any psychometric testing, and then accepting the offer, and starting the opportunity as well. Within the careers team, again, in a similar fashion, if you are searching for a graduate opportunity, or you're looking to network with employers, we can support you by reviewing that application, talking over your options, providing you with relevant resources to help you make that application, or indeed just search for the opportunity to start off with as well. Important to note as well, we will soon have dedicated support for the Leicester Castle Business School, starting in the next month or so. So again, some more hands-on support if you're looking at business-related sort of postgraduate qualifications as well. But again, must say each faculty has a team, has an equivalent to myself as well. So any support you need is the simple answer to that. So, in terms of specifically mechanical engineering opportunities, which I assume is the thrust of the question, obviously engineering has suffered slightly, particularly things like car manufacturers and things, but there are still large amounts of opportunity across the board. So you've got, I guess, more typical opportunities in terms of manufacturing, and you've got, I guess, again, more traditional kind of computer-aided design roles and things like that. But taking those sorts of skills that you'd learn on your course, you've also got broader opportunities as well. So things more like project management. You've got things with computer-aided design. You might move more towards the civil engineering side as well. Systems and engineering. And as well, some graduate employers don't necessarily discriminate too much between sort of mechanical, electrical, mechatronics engineers. So some will have quite broad engineering schemes where you get to sample a little bit of everything and then sort of specialize at the organization as well. What I would say in the UK is traditionally, and it's still the case even in the current times, that actually engineers are in high demand, and on top of that, you've got areas that can often recruit engineers that aren't necessarily looking for that engineering side. What I mean by that is you've also got the financial sector that is often known to somewhat poach engineering students and other science, technology, engineering and mathematics students as well. Also, some areas will mainly recruit from those, as I say, STEM-based subjects, and engineering obviously is amongst that. So you've got quite a wide range. Yeah, so as I touched upon towards the end of my section, you can still access the careers service after you graduate. So that includes all of the support I spoke about, so access to events, online resources. The real benefit at the moment, obviously, with the drive to put a lot of our resources online, it means you can access those going forward. But beyond that, when we do have live sessions and things, we don't need to worry so much about capacity and being obviously on site. If you graduate, you might find that you're hundreds of miles away, whether that's in this country or abroad. So obviously accessing a service that you can't actually physically get to is a lot more difficult. So what I would say is we do still have those like telephone appointments. We do still have online events, recordings, and the online resources I spoke about earlier as well. Oh, so yeah, the good news is really that everything I've spoken about is available after you graduate, and there's not a time limit on that as well. So the offer is quite clear. It's DMU for life. So if you are a few years out or a few minutes out from the university, then you can draw on our support. So I think that's important to remember, and something that differs from a lot of other universities as well. So yeah, we're there to support you. So I think that brings us to the end of the questions. As I say, the important message really that I want to get across to potential applicants or people that currently hold offers is that the careers team are there to support you. They are dedicated professionals in each faculty, and we're there to answer whatever queries that you have relating to careers. And if we don't know the answer, then we will research, and we will also contact other relevant parts of the university as needed as well. I'd just say, as well as the support from us, make sure that you make the most of that time at university. For most of you as post postgraduates or potential postgraduates, you'll only be at the university for a year, and even though perhaps it's more of a full year than an academic year, it, that's still plenty of time to make sure that you do things like get involved in societies, he's doing some work experience, and really, as I say, making the most of it. And for some of you international students, making the most of your time in the UK and perhaps getting a completely different experience than what you would experience in your home countries as well. So my main message from me is get involved and remember to draw on us for support.